Guys, I have got some very large and heavy items to unbox today. These are two amplifiers from Outlaw Audio. Now, if you saw my previous video about my Outlaw Audio monoblock amps in my dedicated theater space in my basement, then you'll already know that I am a big fan of Outlaw Audio. These guys make fantastic amplifiers. And not only are they fantastic amplifiers, but their pricing is excellent. These amplifiers, so the monoblock amplifiers, they are $400 each. I have here the 7-channel and the 5-channel amplifiers. The 5-channel is $700 and the 7-channel is $1,000. You can buy them from their website. You can buy them from Amazon. Lots of options. So why do I have these two amplifiers? Well, first of all, I'm building a tiny theater. And when I reached out to Outlaw Audio and I explained to them what I was doing with this project, they were excited to be involved. They wanted to send me these two amplifiers for this build, and so it worked out great. So thank you, Outlaw Audio, for sending me these amplifiers. Much appreciated. So let's get into why I am using external amplifiers in a tiny home theater. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, why do you need so much power when the speakers are going to be so close to me as the listener? Well, there's a few reasons. First of all, I have 11 speakers. So anytime you're driving that many speakers off an AVR, you are going to see a drawdown, a significant drawdown in the power per speaker. It's just the way it is. And not only that, but the AVR that I am going to be using initially, spoiler alert, that video is coming up. This particular AVR, the amplifier in it didn't measure super well. It's sufficient, but I just was not thinking that driving 11 speakers off that AVR was a good idea. And so I wanted to go with separates. So I'll be running all channels driven off of these external amplifiers. So the AVR will be only doing processing. Third reason why I am going separates. The speakers that I currently have set up, these are the monolith B series speakers. So the B5s, 5 series. So B5 for the bookshelf, C5 for the center, and T5 for the mains. These speakers, first of all, they're 4 ohm speakers. So you need more power to drive them. They just require more power. And second of all, they're not very sensitive. I believe it's 84.3 dB sensitivity. So very low sensitivity. So that makes it even more critical to have significant power going to the speakers. So yeah, now if you had more sensitive speakers and they would respond to less power, then maybe this wouldn't be as critical. But with these, I just need more power to drive them. And then the fourth reason why I'm going separates is because I'm not done yet. This theater is going to be a work in progress. And yes, initially I am setting it up with an AVR, but got some stuff in the works. I've got some potential dedicated processors or a processor, hopefully multiple, in the works that I will be reviewing and demoing and trying out in this theater. And so with a processor, you don't have any choice. You have to go separates. You have to have amplifiers to drive all channels. And so these Outlaw Audio amplifiers are going to be very handy to do exactly that. So I think I covered all the reasons. Now I would say the fifth reason is external amplifiers are just cool. It's just cool. I just like having external amplifiers. I like sending that much power to my speakers and just having that much headroom, and I just love it. So what other reason do I need, right? Okay, so let's get into the specifics. What are we looking at here with these two amplifiers from Outlaw Audio? Like I mentioned, we've got the 7-channel. No, sorry, this is the 5-channel, and this is the 7-channel. Let's start with the 5-channel. The 5-channel puts out 130 watts per channel, all channels driven. Now, you'll know or recognize the significance of that because typically with AVRs and a lot of times with other amplifiers, the wattage rating is based on 2 channels driven. This is all channels driven, 130 watts per channel into 8 ohms, 200 watts, all channels driven, into 4 ohms. So with these 4 ohm speakers, I'll be sending 200 watts per channel. Now, also with this amplifier and both amplifiers, they have both RCA inputs as well as balanced XLR inputs. Very nice. I did see a review from a few years ago on this 5-channel amp, and the reviewer mentioned the lack of XLR inputs. So this is something that they have upgraded these amplifiers with, so that they now have balanced XLR inputs. Same thing with the 7-channel. RCA inputs as well as XLR inputs. Now, the power rating is slightly different on the 7-channel. It is also rated at all channels driven, but it is 120 watts per channel into 8 ohms. So it is 10 watts less than the 5-channel, 10 watts less on the 5-channel than what you get on the 7-channel. Is that 10 watts audible? I highly doubt it. I would challenge anybody in a blind test to identify the difference between 10 watts of power in an amplifier. Those are the specs. Let's take a look at them and see how they look. Guys, these things are heavy. I don't know how else to explain it or describe it other than to say they weigh a lot. They are obviously very, very well built. The cases, just the metal on the cases is very thick. I mean, you can hear how solid it is. The front of the amplifiers is like this nice, I'm not sure if it's aluminum or what, but it's got a really nice brushed look to it. Very clean, very simple. It just has the logo, the badging for Outlaw Audio, a power button. I'm assuming it's got a little light around the power button, and then the model info. Very clean look on the front. On the back, very well laid out. You've got both, as I mentioned, both the RCA as well as the XLR inputs. You've got the speaker connectors that are, oh my gosh, these things are beautiful and very well built. This is impressive. Obviously, they accept banana plugs, which I will definitely be using. Got a 3-prong outlet for the power. We've got, for the switch, we've got it to set to manual where you can just turn it on, leave it on. You can also set it to trigger. It has a chassis ground, nice touch, and then it's got the remote 12-volt trigger input. Now, this is kind of nitpicky, but I wish on the 12-volt trigger, they have the 12-volt trigger in, so when your AVR powers up, it'll send a signal to power up your amplifier. I wish they had a trigger out so that you could daisy chain them together. Unfortunately, the AVR that I'm going to be using only has one trigger output, so I'm either going to have to buy a 12-volt cable splitter, like a Y splitter, or if I'm feeling really Bush League, I may just cut one of the trigger cables and then splice them together to make 2. Probably won't do that, but the thought did cross my mind. Now, having said that, the amplifiers include the 12-volt trigger cable, which that's a really nice touch. I've seen other amplifiers that do not include the trigger cable, so that's really good. Excellent that they include that. Yeah, these amps look beautiful. I am super excited to get them all plugged in and get them all hooked up and rolling. Now, my only concern is my shelf here. I did not think to look at the weight rating on this thing before I purchased it. I think it's going to be okay because it does have this wood top, but then it's got a metal kind of reinforcement underneath it. So I think it'll be fine. But yeah, having these two amplifiers on a single shelf, I mean, let's see here. I can see some bowing. It's got a little bit of bowing going on there. So I will get these hooked up, and then the next step is the AVR, and then we're ready to start listening to some sounds. Thanks for watching.